How's that, Drew?
Yep.
Okay. Call to order the Water and Sewer Commission meeting of Monday, November 4th, 2019. And first order of business is public forum. Anyone here for public forum? Seeing none, let's move on to number 3, which is minutes of the water sewer meeting.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as printed as follows from November 4th. Oh, I'm sorry, October 21st, 2019.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, moving on, warrants.
Make a motion, we accept the following warrants as printed, dated November 4th. Commissioner salary, $400. Viola, BFD for EQ Tank 1, $596.88. Viola, Vine Street, failed sensor, $3,564.93. Viola, UV intensity sensor, $2,009.23. Viola, August 2019 lab testing for MTA, $184. Viola, August emergency services, Vine Street Pump Station, $280. Bigelow, generator maintenance, $1,885. JSL Asphalt, walkway at plant, $584.51. Commonwealth of Mass, 14 North Sturbridge Road, Lean, $75. McClure Engineering, 169 Pump Station Waterline Construction, $3,067.50. McClure Engineering, 169 Pump Station and Waterline Construction, $6,821.25. McClure Engineering, Waterline Construction, $2,618.75. McClure Engineering, 169 Pump Station, $737.50. Franklin Electric, 2 full systems, $4,347.89. Franklin Electric, 2 full systems inventory.
That's invoice number 2.
Oh, invoice number 2. $3,566.84 for a total of $30,739.28.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Thanks. Discussion. Feeling wealthy? What's going on?
Feeling wealthy.
Yeah, what's the problem?
This month off.
Are all of these McClures reimbursable?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Again, I'm just trying to 6-9 them. It's only close to $14,000. It is reimbursable?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about the 2 failed sensors. Or, well, actually, the Vine Street failed sensor and then the UV intensity sensor. Those are 2 different things.
Correct.
Let's talk about Vine Street.
Okay.
What does the sensor do?
It's the float sensors. It's the sensor that does the height of the. in the
So
wet well.
it's optical?
Correct. Is it optical? Is that?
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound?
It's actually a pressure, it's a pressure transducer.
It's a pressure transducer
Yeah. That sits at the bottom and.
for $3,500?
That was, it had failed.
Yeah,
That includes the temporary wiring off of floats. That includes them coming back to, that includes the replacement sensor and installation of the replacement sensor. So it kind of grouped it all together.
well, is the sensor and transducer one and the same?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's the whole kind of control system. It's the same thing that happened to the North Sturbridge.
North Main.
North Main Street pump station.
Yeah. Again, I apologize for my maybe shortness here, is, on a personal basis, we were buying a transducer for a water tank.
Yeah.
It was like $130. It's about this big. It's on a big, long wire.
Yeah. Well, what we found with the North Main Street pump station was we could no longer buy just the sensor because the system was so antiquated. So we
Okay.
had to buy the sensor and the controller system and have it all wired. So that covers everything.
Okay, so did you have to buy a panel?
That's included in it, yeah.
So you had to buy a panel.
The control panel, yeah.
Okay.
That tells the pumps to operate and the alarms to go off. when they
Okay,
hit
that's where the
certain-
money is, because it's certainly not in the transducer.
Correct. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
whole kind of system.
All right. Because other than that, I was gonna say is, let's go back to the old float, the on and off Mercury's. Of course, they don't use Mercury anymore, but the on and off. So this is all set over there. This is Vine, I'm talking about Vine Street now.
Yep.
Okay, and what about, my curiosity is the sensor for, was that still for Vine Street, the UV?
No, that's for the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay,
The UV sensor had failed, and that's for the intensity. That lets us know how much UV is penetrating through the effluent.
Yeah.
How good of a disinfection we're getting. And when that failed, we had really no indication of how good we're getting for disinfection.
okay. We hadn't talked about any of these items before, had we?
Yeah, we have.
We did, Zach?
Yep.
At a meeting? Really?
Yes, I know we mentioned to you that the Vine Street pump station had the same issues that the North Main Street pump station was having, and we're going to fix it the same way. And then I know Zach has talked about the UV intensity, the UV issues we were having because we failed a few.
Yeah, and we wanted to make sure with the failed E. coli samples that we were getting, that we, made sure we were able to monitor our UV intensity, because that's really the only parameter that we have.
Sure, right,
that
right.
tells us.
Getting back to the Vine Street is, does the panel communicate through SCADA as well?
No, that stays locally at the pump station.
Okay, so it'll send a message from Vine Street or up here at the center down to the pump station?
No, it's just the Vine Street pump station. So it measures the wet well height,
Right?
and it triggers the lead and lag pumps to turn on and off, or it will set out an alarm if the wet well level gets too high.
Okay, and that's it?
Correct.
All right, so you're not able to read that at the plant?
No.
Okay, perfect. All right, Zach, thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other questions? You all set there? Okay, abatements, Mr. Jennings. Do we have any? Nope. No abatements. Okay, schedule at 6:40 is Viola, infiltration and inflow proposal. Send-
So, Mr. Chair, we discussed this at your last meeting. You had some additional questions that I couldn't answer, so I asked John and Paul Rodman to be here to go through the proposal that they created, to walk you through the work that they were going to do, and answer the questions that you had, so you can consider whether or not you want to approve the work. So, Paul, they just have the proposal from you. I don't know if you have a copy of it. You want to just walk them through it?
paper copy right here.
Thanks.
So Peter, this, as far as what is presented here in writing to us, this is no different than what we had 2 weeks ago?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you guys for coming. If you just want to walk through the proposal, Paul?
Yeah.
And the
yeah,
work
no
that
problem.
you propose.
So last report to DEM, which included the system-wide flow monitoring, and also included a step-by-step annual plan to identify and reduce I&I from entering the system. So as part of that plan, now that the flow monitoring's been done, this is the year that we pretty much cherry-picked low-hanging fruit based on the larger areas of I&I that was found in the flow monitoring. So working with Peter, we picked up an area based on, footage and budgetary numbers and things like that. And the activities were important to meet the criteria of that report. So we chose CCTV, pipe cleaning, and smoke testing. So CCTV will identify sources of infiltration. Smoke testing will identify sources of inflow, storm drains, roof leaders, things like that that are illegally connected to the sewer system. And then we can identify those and remove any if found. So that's basically what this does, which keeps the town in compliance with Mass DEP's regulation for the year.
Paul, can you explain that the linear footage that we have in our contract to do is for straight CCTV and how we change that to do less linear footage, but you're doing more work?
Yeah, so there's a certain amount, I think it's 17,000 feet of CCTV that has to be done. Prior to that, there still has to be pipe cleaning to ensure that you're getting a good inspection of the pipe as far as structural defects, sources of infiltration at joints, so there's no debris up there covering up anything that might be missed. So what we've done in the past is, in order to kind of meet the criteria of Mass DEP's regulation for I&I identification and removal, is the town has allowed us to kind of back off that 17,000 benchmark number for CCTV, and we've applied the labor that would have been used there to do the pipe cleaning ahead of the CCTV, manhole inspections, we've done pipe cleaning, and also pipe repairs. So it just allows a broader scale of work to be completed as opposed to that one activity of TV inspection.
I think the other question was, as far as the procedure and the process, the pipe cleaning first, is it one crew that does that, a separate crew that does the CCTV, or is it the same crew with different equipment?
It's essentially out of the same crew, but what they're doing is, one guy will be doing the pipe cleaning ahead of the CCTV. They could be there on the same day. Just the truck will be a couple thousand feet ahead of the CCTV, and then the camera comes in right behind. With having the crew there as well, if he finds any type of root mass that may not have been cleaned out during the pipe cleaning, the camera operator can call him back, put on a root cutter, and take care of it right then and there. Same thing with any type of debris that possibly gets missed. If you're in a high debris area, there could be debris missed. The camera operator can call the truck back, say, hey, we got to make a few more passes here and get this cleaned out thoroughly so we can do a complete inspection.
And the scope of work you provided has costs associated with it. Those are mostly for details?
Correct.
Can you just explain on how you're what your intention is, how to order those, and what's required for the details?
Correct. Given the area that we decided to go with first this year, high traffic zones, there's a school, town hall, we're going to need police details in order to get this work done. So that's where there's additional costs there that is built into this proposal. So we'll take care of ordering those, paying those, and it won't be any hassle to the town or the Water Commission.
Why don't you explain how you come up with the cost associated with that?
So the cost associated with it is basically I took, the rates are right on the police department website, per hour. And then based off of my guys' work production over the past, I'm able to, say we're gonna get X amount of feet this day, this activity, and I can apply the hourly rate or day rate in this sense to what the estimated production rate is for my crews.
Couple questions. Just as far as the base goes, the contract base says Veola will do 17,000 feet. And it also says, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, also talks about pipe cleaning.
Not in the O&M contract, it only
That's
states.
not in it. So the pipe
Correct.
cleaning is up and above.
Correct.
Yeah, you'd have to provide the pipe clean for us to then go in and camera it.
Okay, but so that when you do the 17,000, that's just doing the camera work.
That's correct.
So that's already on our side of the table.
Correct.
Yeah, you
So-
already paid for that.
What the proposal is that your recommendation is we should be doing pipe cleaning as well.
Correct.
Okay, so what you're gonna do is take some of the footage off of the 17,000 side and trade it for pipe cleaning.
Correct.
But in the meantime, whenever you do any of this work, you need police protection because you don't want to get killed out there.
On certain roads, yes. Like last year, we worked in the Glen Echo Lake area,
Okay,
and we didn't have any police details. But when we
Yeah.
went up onto Osgood, I believe,
yeah,
then we had,
Osgood, definitely Brookfield Road.
then we had to order police details.
Okay, all right.
So,
this-
of GIS to town, I've worked with Pete. I have a good, idea, and I'll coordinate with Pete as well. If we need them in certain areas, we're gonna obviously order them.
Sure,
But like the Osgood neighborhood, low traffic, didn't see a need for it, so that wasn't part of it last year.
yeah, okay, okay. I don't want to hog all the questions. Any questions?
No, I had a question about smoke testing and how effective you really think that is, and, overall, when you do.
Well, I can share with you an
10,000
example
feet.
of what we just did for the town of Smithfield. I was telling Pete earlier. State of Rhode Island's really getting aggressive about storm catch basin cleaning, mandating it. So Paul had his crew out there cleaning catch basins on a particular area, and unbeknownst to Paul, we started to see problems at one of our pump stations about the same time with excessive flows. So the Public Works Director asked Paul to go out and smoke test that area, and lo and behold, we saw smoke coming up out of all the stormwater catch basins. And what we were able to find was, as we were cleaning the catch basins, they were tied into the sewer system. We didn't notice it at the pump station because they were all plugged with sand, we weren't getting it, but as soon as we cleaned them, and the only way we found that was through smoke testing. And then once we identified that there was an interconnection, then we went in with the camera and Paul found what pipe had been compromised to allow that stormwater to come in. So smoke testing is really your best way to test inflow. You see it come out roofs, you see it come out the ground, to find broken laterals, things you can't catch with a camera. Does that make sense? As an example? No?
Yeah, it does, and I mean, I agree with you in certain areas. I don't know if, as things go, we have a relatively new system, right, in the world you would work in.
Sure.
So you don't have a lot of the old, Johnny tied it in this way because, what's it gonna hurt? It's going into the brook anyways. That mentality.
We do
I just
tend to
didn't
see a
know.
lot of homes that tie their sump pumps into their laterals. We do see situations with businesses will tie, so I'm not sure about this particular
Well,
area, but.
What I can also add here is, smoke testing is, for this specific area, again, this was based off of the flow monitoring results. So these areas contributed high sources of I&I. So by smoke testing and doing CCTV, you've covered all bases. to identify these sources, whether it's, downspouts, broken lateral covers, tight-end storm drains, as well as doing the CCTV of the actual main. So basically, you're getting a complete picture of the total area. And I know that your system's relatively new, but the area that we just did, and we found that catch basin tied in, was also new. I mean, anything can happen, and this is just, it covers all the bases of identifying these sources.
Yeah, because the cammering, which is the best tool we can have in order to do pipe assessment, what kind of condition the pipe is in, is only gonna be able to show you what's in that main. It's not gonna be able to tell you what could possibly be contributing into the laterals of the main.
And as we go, into further years, you're gonna just keep going down that list of suspected high INI areas. So when you get to the lower ones, smoke testing might not even be an option, something that you might not want to invest the money into. But as you're dealing with the higher sources, you want to cover everything you can to identify those and eliminate them.
So with that, my school of thought would be if you found an area where you said, okay, we're getting a lot of groundwater in this certain area, not necessarily the total 9,800 feet, maybe that's where you would do it.
That's what we did.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like I said, you haven't seen the flow monitoring report we did last year?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so, like I said, we just went right down the list of the areas.
Yep.
So, and those were the areas that, like you said, they have example of the height. But when we get over to, say, another area, say down Route 20, that was kind of, low flow, never really changed in a rain event, we wouldn't even be an option there.
No, and I get what you're saying, but
Okay.
on Carpenter Hill Road is 4,670 feet from start to finish.
Okay, so you're saying more kind of spot smoke instead of the whole thing?
Yeah, is that an option, or, I mean, that's, I just don't, you're gonna hit 1,000 feet of a dry line, and you're gonna have, 2,000 feet of wet line, so it's,
I mean, anything's an option. But, like I said, with the cammering that we have to do anyway for the contract, you're looking at the main line, start to finish. If we're spot
Oh, yeah.
testing smoke,
Yep.
we could miss something. We could look at every single lateral that we come across, or every joint that we come across, and then make a determination. At that point, you would be spot testing, smoke testing that area. If that's something that you would want to do. I mean, it's a lot more hassle in the sense of setting up, breaking down,
Yeah.
Do the CCTV, review the reporting, review the video, identify everything in the GIS, and, kind of work around that way. It might be more labor intensive to do, like you're suggesting, a couple hundred feet here, a couple hundred feet there, when we could just do the whole thing at once in 2 days as opposed to several days.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Years back, we had done the cammering of North Sturbridge Road, because there was an issue over there. And in fact, they actually showed it to us, is as they're putting the camera down the line, they would actually come to a lateral, and there'd be no flow. No flow, no flow. And then, all of a sudden, they come to a lateral, it's flowing, and it's constant, it doesn't stop, and it's clear. Which, come to find out, the lateral, a few feet up, it was broken, taken in the groundwater. So I would expect that you would be looking at each lateral.
We'd be looking up the lateral as far as we could see.
Oh, no, but I'm just saying, I'm just talking about the flow. Because I tell you, I had mentioned this many times before, okay? What should have happened is when we had that rain event last week, we should have had a crew out there popping covers during the middle of the storm, or right after the storm, to see where the flow is. To me, that's the best way, all right? But no, it's dangerous, can't do it during the time, we don't have the help. Again, this is what I hear, but I understand what you're doing, again, and I understand what you're trying to find, and it certainly is the method. I come from the old school method is, let's go look when the old saying is when the fish are biting, and that's during the middle of a rainstorm, especially if it's a heavy rainstorm, because that's when you're gonna see things happen. So, getting back to on your second page here, Carpenter Hill, Burlingame Road, and Main Street. These are your three areas that you're gonna concentrate on?
Correct.
Okay, and all that, and that's all based on reading the report of, the flow report,
Correct.
okay? And just, if you could, best from memory, in compliance with the DEP, what does the DEP actually say?
Let's see, first they want you to go through and GIS the entire system. We've done that. Then they want you to do a flow monitoring study of the entire system. We've done that. And then they want the whole system cleaned and cameraed, and manhole inspections and sources of I&I identified and eliminated within a certain schedule. So we had to provide them a schedule of set years going forward of what the activities will be.
Okay, there's no timetable on any of this stuff, though, is that they want you
Well-
to be working on it?
There's EPA recommendations for those schedules. So
Right.
they're not carved in stone, but they
Right.
give you a schedule, 5 years for CCTV.
Correct.
I mean, cleaning, 10 years for camera.
Right.
Figuring that's about the duration of time where you're gonna start seeing
Okay,
issues
because,
pop up.
Peter, down at the plant, is there any record of the cammering that was done?
There's record of the camera that Veolia did for Brookfield Road and Osgood Road.
No, this was way before, this was- I think it was Blue
Not-
Moon or
Not that
whatever.
I'm aware of.
Yeah, where we are now, from a technological perspective, is everything's digital now, so all of those videos are digitized, they're online, you can access them. Historically, they used to be on VHS tapes, so if you wanted to look at a thing, you'd have to pull the tape out, hopefully it had a record written on it that you could know what you could look at and then fast forward through it. What we have now is every video that's been done is linked to the pipe ID.
Pipe asset and the
Pipe
GIS.
asset ID, so, if you wanna know a pipe segment, you click on that, and all the history associated with that pipe segment is digitized. When it was inspected, the date, the time, the video footage, and any defect coding that we've identified.
That's what we have from your company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, my problem is I've been here too long. I'm going back to what was already done.
You're not
you
alone.
know. Yeah, and are we being redundant? And of course, you can never be redundant because things happen daily as far as things breaking. But that's why I had asked Peter the question is what's down there and what we've done in the past. And I know that every single year, when we come to this budget item of I&I, we throw money at it, but we would make some repairs, whether it was down at Charlton City, whether it was on Stevens Park Road, and when the DEP says, what have you been doing? We've been doing that, we've been doing that, and again, we're sizable repairs, okay? This, again, very scientific, methodical. I'm not saying it's not the right way, but I'm saying I guess it's gonna bring us to where we need to be. And Peter, this total cost is the $26,457.78 on the front page?
Correct, and that includes the pipe cleaning, CCTV, smoke testing of those 3 lines with that footage associated with it, and also developing the report to submit to DEP by the end of this year. So last year was the requirement to have the sewer system evaluation survey completed by the end of 2018, which we did. And that is what set the process forward for what needs to be done over the next 5 years. And this is the first step from that survey that was submitted. So I think if we can just move forward step by step and just methodically start to look at the system. We spent the money on the flow monitoring test, and the data we got from that shows our highest area of infiltration for some reason is Carpenter Hill Road. I've been out there the day after a storm, I've popped the manhole covers You see stuff, you see it flowing. It doesn't, there was no identifying area that had a change in the flow at that time.
But because Carpenter Hill, the sewer system is made up of Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Correct?
Okay, so when you popped the covers on Phase 2, was the flow there?
No,
Wasn't
not
there?
as much as phase,
As
as
phase
down
one.
as the original part,
Okay.
but there
all right,
was some flow.
Okay, all right,
And
that's
when
good
you-
information. But
So,
they-
but I think to follow through with what we've started last year with the sewer system evaluation survey, this is the next step. We have funding in the budget to do it. It's not the full amount. I think we've narrowed it down a little bit to a specific area that we know, based on the flow monitoring data, we have issues.
And unfortunately, you know, safety is important, and this particular area is gonna require a substantial amount of police
Oh,
details.
exactly.
That's
No,
so.
no argument there, none whatsoever.
And, you know, the reality is, yeah, you might not find a lot, but, you know, that's not a bad thing either, right? Being able to say that, hey, we've, like we did at Glen Echo Lake, we said that system's tight. There is nothing to be seen there. You can come back in 10 years from now. So,
Paul, the costs associated you have for details, are these on the high side? It could be possibly lower? Or you think these are pretty much accurate?
I think these are pretty much accurate,
Okay.
given the area of the 3 roads and where we're going to be. You know, so as long as we don't get held up, you know, production-wise from any type of, you know, police detail issue or weather event issue, then these are pretty close.
yeah, we've seen instances where, you know, sometimes the police may come out and require 2 cruisers, you know, or 2, you know, depending, a lot of it, it's at their determination more than anything, than us.
I mean, when we finish up Main Street, we're going to be right down here at the 4-way intersection. One police detail might not want to be there by himself.
And that's not our call, that's typically the police's call, so. We've tried to factor into that kind of our experience, and kind of, you know, we've done this in numerous places, we kind of know what they expect, but sometimes we call for police details and they don't show up. I'm not saying that's the situation here, but in some towns, right, some communities, you schedule them and they just don't have the resources.
Earlier you had mentioned you were working in another town on a drainage project.
Well, doing stormwater activities is similar to this.
Different state.
A different state, yeah,
In Rhode Island.
yeah.
I was using as an example of how smoke testing was able to find what was causing the problem at the pump station. You know, we weren't able to find it with the camera at the time, so.
Correct.
Once we
Okay.
started seeing the smoke coming up out of all the storm catch basins, we knew where to look. And then Paul went in with his camera and found a lateral that had been connected.
Is the plan to do this within the next 30 days?
Correct. The work has to be completed and the report has to be finalized prior to December 31st.
Now we're working within the.
Oh, you mean,
the window.
because of being in compliance?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. That was like what I was getting at with the stormwater. As soon as the state does the turnpike and does Route 20, then I think that's when Charlton should think about doing stormwater. But until they do those, if it was up to me, I wouldn't do anything.
You know,
But anyways.
it really depends on what impacts it's having on your community. In Smithfield, the town I was describing, you know, they're having significant street flooding, you know, business interruption, you know, and so they're trying to be proactive. I mean, the state of Rhode Island is targeting that more as a point source of pollution, so that's really where their enforcement's going. The CMOM, what we call CMOM, about 10 years ago, they came out and they issued a lot of administrative orders to communities in Rhode Island to address the CMOM issue, the INI. So now they're a little bit ahead. They're now into stormwater. So, and this really is an effort to address the permit requirement, but it also, you know, gets Charlton off of the watch list because you guys are actively out front of your CMOM, you know, which is a good place to be. There are a lot of communities that aren't.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
I make a motion to proceed with the proposal of $26,407.78.
I second.
any discussion or further discussion on the motion to go forward with the I&I work to begin, I guess it'd be immediately. All set, Jim?
All set.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
You know, I will offer to the commission, feel free, you know, if you have time and you want to come out, you know, we'll make our schedule known if you want to see it in action.
Yeah, Peter will know exactly where we're at ahead of time.
You know, you can get right in the back of the van and see the camera and, you know, in real world.
Perfect.
I'll get you a copy of the signed proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming down, Tess.
Thank you very much.
Go lick my wounds for the Patriots.
Do you want us to sign this copy?
So go home and lick my wounds from the Patriots last night.
Oh, you guys want to trade off any pallets?
What's that?
Would you trade off any pallets?
Yeah, no, we're all set.
What?
They're all gone.
Thank God.
Someone called
Someone
up and
called and
said, I'll
took
take
them
them
all,
all.
You know, I haven't heard yet. I didn't, my daughter had 2 hockey games this weekend, so I didn't go to my watering hole. I'll let you know.
John, what age group is she in?
She's college, she plays for Assumption.
Oh, she plays, oh, really? Good
Yeah,
for
it's her
her.
first women's ice hockey team this year. She was recruited to play for them, so,
Nice,
yeah.
nice,
Pretty excited
fantastic.
about it. Yeah, she was up in St. Anselm this weekend.
St. A's, they don't give any A's up there.
No.
Yeah,
They got a
yeah,
nice little
yeah,
program
yeah,
there.
yeah. My oldest son graduated from.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be all right, from Assumption.
Oh, that's what my daughter thought to go.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
First semester.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
It's known as a party school, you know. I'm just telling you, that's it. That's
We're
it.
all parties.
They're all
I went
parties.
to UMass, I mean, that was.
Yeah, that was the ultimate, but anyways.
Nice,
Hi,
John.
John.
Thank you.
Right on front here, Dave, I signed the back one, okay. Should be all set. Okay. We're into new business, which is the Water Master Plan Grant, FY '20 scope of work. What do we got there, Peter?
So this is the original grant that was received for fiscal year 18 for $200,000. That year, I believe we probably spent $80,000 of it doing some work, looking for a new potential water supply. At the end of FY '18, we put in a request to extend the grant to FY '19 and use the remaining funds. At that time, DEP approved that extension, but they replenished the funds to $200,000. So in FY '19, we probably used approximately $170,000 to $180,000 to do the exploration up at Buffinville to find a public water supply. And again, at the end of FY '18, I made the same request to use the remaining funds for FY '20. And fortunate enough, they extended it to FY '20 with a fresh $200,000. So I've been working with Beta to create a scope of work for the $200,000 to be used. So I got this in about a week and a half ago. I've submitted it to DEP as well as draft form, and I'm submitting it to you also for review. Not for approval yet, because just in case DEP comes up and they want to see some things changed. It's still a work in progress. I just wanted, again, to get in front of you for informational purposes and see if you had any glaring concerns, but if you want to go through it, we can. So as you know, we've drilled some test wells up in that area. We've purchased one parcel of property. We're in the process, hopefully purchase the 25 acres where the wells will go by the end of this year, by the end of December. We're on track to do that. There's a few more steps we have to do to satisfy DEP, but I'm in the process of doing that, so we should be good to go. So what I was thinking, holistically, many of you have been to the site, and I think the next step is to actually move forward with site design. So task one would be site development design, and that's pretty much would be to go through site plan approval with the planning board, conceptually design the road. As you look at the elevations and the topography of the property, we've talked about where the wells are gonna be drilled, maybe cutting that whole area down by 20 feet, because when you drill a well, they charge you per foot. So 20 feet by 5 wells is 100 feet, which is pretty much 1 well for free. So as part of the site plan process, we'd have the existing elevations and proposed elevations, get that approved at site plan, and then we could move forward and probably go out to bid to have that work done. The other part, as far as the water main conceptual design, task 2, that's actually outside of the site and a very preliminary conceptual design of how we'd get the water from the property up to our existing infrastructure. I think this is an important piece as well, so that we can give something to the Army Corps of Engineers for them to consider while we're in the process of designing the site, also getting the proposed plan to work with them to maybe access a portion of their property to run the water line over, get their commitment and buy-in, or see if they have any concerns about that, and see if we have to redesign it. So again, this would be a very conceptual design, but it would show where we plan to run the water line to get it to our existing infrastructure. Task 3 is continuation of water management program screening process. And that's just, again, the next steps required to be able to move on to the long-term pump test once the wells are drilled. So, task 4 is wetlands and habitat survey. That's gonna be a portion of the site plan as well, just to make sure that those are identified, to make sure that the site plan doesn't impact any of the wetlands or habitat. Task 5 is a topographic survey, which is required for the site plan. Task 6 is actually the roadway. Possibly, if everything goes well, Beta will prepare and advertise for the bids for the project. Again, they're carrying $73,500. Depending on what happens with site plan, what happens with cuts and fills, and what we have for excess material, it's hard to know what that cost might be. If the additional material that we might have from a 20-foot cut could offset a portion of that cost, if a contractor is willing to come in and do that. And then task 7 is meetings. So, again, preliminary, but pretty inclusive of what can happen this next fiscal year. And again, the nice thing is DEP has awarded us the grant again. I think we've been using their money pretty wisely, and they're happy with the progress we're making, so they're continuing to allow us to use it. Hopefully they'll review this and understand the direction and where we're going, and come back with a thumbs up to continue in this manner. If there's any questions or concerns, let me know.
Peter, with the original funds that we had and the work that we've already contracted and what we have completed, what was remaining as far as work goes, and what was the balance in the fund to pay for that proposed remaining work?
I'm not sure there was work remaining.
Well, so is everything, well,
So right now, we're at a standstill until this gets approved. We completed all the work we had planned for last year.
okay, and within those plans, there was no plans to do any permanent drilling?
Any permanent drilling? No,
No.
it was too expensive.
It was too expensive?
Well, especially if we're gonna do a 20-foot cut.
Okay, all right,
That's why I think it's important to really, instead of just go in there and hurry up and do something that could be affected by something else we do 2 steps down the road, it seems like if we, again, get the site plan squared away and really get the design done, that way there, we don't go and drill, was it 5 wells at 120 feet at 600 feet? So like I said, if we can cut that by 20 feet, it's only 500 feet of drilling. You're gonna save however much per foot it's gonna
Okay.
charge.
when we did the survey, they did not do any topo work?
No, the survey was only, I think it was $12,000. It was a very rough, I think it might have only been 8,000, just to do a 25-acre parcel to delineate the property lines and prepare the A&R for planning board.
in the total area that's gonna be topoed is 25 acres or
This,
35?
no, they're not gonna topo, they're only gonna topo the probably the portion of the land that we're gonna do the wells on and where the road is gonna go. I don't think they're gonna do the full 25-acre parcel.
Okay. All right, I'm getting back to the dollars and cents. What did we have left from the work that we did? out of
I
the-
don't know off the top of my head, if it was, say, $20,000 possibly.
Okay,
But we didn't have work assigned to that money.
okay, so now with the renewal of the grant,
Yes.
which is, when we say renewal, they didn't just say, well, you haven't spent, what you haven't spent, then fine, you can renew it, and when you get ready to spend the balance, fine, go ahead. They, not only do they give us the balance, they've already,
They replenished,
they upped the whole thing.
correct.
Okay,
So by the time this is done, if we were to use this $200,000 this fiscal year, we probably would have spent $400,000 of grant money in development of that property.
And nothing out of pocket.
Correct.
going back to task number one, is task number one any physical work or just paperwork?
There may be some site visits, but I believe it's mostly the civil engineering required to create the site plan and get us through planning board for site plan.
Right, but you can't do the site plan unless you get a topo and a
Well,
survey.
Again, they added it as task 5 and 6, but those will be done as part.
But, am I to take the 10,005 off the 42,000?
No,
And for the 42,000, that doesn't include the survey work?
no.
Okay, I think that's a lot of money, that's my opinion. Because when we talk about the site plan, as we're talking about, first of all, is in this area doing what we're doing, is the site plan required?
I think in order to do a 20-foot cut, yes, a site plan will be required. I think, and you're also developing a roadway that's going to be a permanent access way into those wells. That's
Oh,
going to be
okay.
paved in the future.
All right,
So
and
this is a full, I think to do a site plan and have it done correctly and have it done in a manner that allows us to just move forward in the future without having go back and revisit anything is the best way to go.
when you use the word roadway, really what you mean is driveway. Because it's not like town road, it's not a subdivision road, it's an access into the property to where these wells are gonna be located.
Correct, it'll be a paved access way.
Yeah, okay.
That has to be kept clear 24,
Okay.
for 24/7
All right, all right.
access.
It's not a roadway that's gonna have, it's not specific like a planning board roadway it talks about so many inches of gravel, and specific gravel, and then
No, but it has to be
asphalt.
designed in a way that it'll last more than 5 years.
Yeah, we're not building a road, we're putting in a driveway.
That's my point.
Right, we're not building a road. When you build a road, you have to go by
Right,
certain
right, and the thing-
specifications.
Right, and if you wanna make it last, you make sure that the base is there, good base,
Okay?
right, and,
We got
It's
plenty
not-
of fill.
well, it's not fill, we wanna make sure we have good
Gravel.
material that's gonna compact, and we believe we have that material on site,
We'll know more, again.
all right.
Well,
Again,
that's part of doing the topo and the site development design. Is finding out what we do have down there and also maximizing the property and the design. I mean,
Well, right, but you can't do any of it without a topo and a perk.
Oh, no,
Not a perk,
absolutely.
but topo and a survey. Yeah, right.
So the survey's done, it's more wetlands and habitats. It's a wetlands survey, it's not really a property survey, right? So I guess,
no, I mean, I think this is great direction, and I don't think that, like Rob said, maybe, okay, so one is a little bit high. I don't necessarily.
I don't know if that includes maybe some core samples to determine if the gravel is adequate for what or not, but
But I think that site down there, has a lot of potential. As I've discussed with Peter, we've discussed just other potential projects in town that need fill, whether it's the parking behind the town hall or, maybe it's, eventually public safety building, if that ever happens. But until you do all the studies, you're not gonna know the volume down there
So I believe,
once there.
I'm gonna keep calling it an access road, because it's
Sure.
a little bit more intense than the driveway. It's just
Yeah.
over a third of a mile long. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be designed from Gale Road all the way into where the well location is. $42,000, maybe it's a little high, but they're also planning on a lot of unknowns at this time.
What you're
So-
asking for from us this evening, are we, again, I have no problem with the concept in sending this to DEP and say, look, this is what we've gotten for quotes,
Yeah.
and this is the route that we want to follow. But, which I think would be great, and I'd say, by all means, let's send this along. But as far as proving these numbers tonight, right now, I'm not ready to do, myself, I'm not ready to do that, and so.
I don't think that's what we're doing, right?
No,
No,
again, it was
okay,
more
it's
so,
not.
and I think when we get it back from DEP with their comments, maybe I'll have Beta come to a meeting and they can run through their task assignment and talk about where that dollar figure came from and what's involved. So, again, it's just,
Okay,
as long as the direction that we're moving on that, in this scope of work is the correct direction versus the dollar figure attached, I think that's more important at this point.
Agreed.
So if there's no, I guess, real direction change in the tasks that we've identified to do this fiscal year, then we'll keep it where it is. And, again, as long as DEP doesn't have any concerns either, then I'll have Beta come to a subsequent meeting and talk to and explain task by task what their thoughts are and how they came up with the associated costs.
okay, so,
Great.
that's a go, as far as sending this in. Okay, good,
Isn't it there?
good.
I'm sorry?
It's already there, isn't it? Okay.
I took a walk on the site today with Peter.
Yeah. Like a mountain goat, huh? Up and
Yeah,
down,
well,
and up and down.
The topography is.
The drop-offs,
Yes.
All right, moving down our agenda list here, sewer disconnect policy. Peter?
Sure, so over the last year or so, there's been a couple of renovations that have happened down around Glencoe Lake where there's grinder pumps associated with the properties. And each of those additions or renovations had some issues with the grinder pumps during the process. So I think, tried to come up with a way to create a sewer disconnect policy to not be a burden, but to at least protect us. And things happen for whatever reason when grinder pumps are disconnected and left to sit for a winter and then try to be reconnected the following spring or the following summer or following fall, and then all of a sudden they don't work. And we end up in no man's land. Well, it worked when we took it out, but it's not working now. Whose responsibility is it? So just to prevent that from happening in the future, I just, again, try to put some steps together of what will happen if someone comes forward to do a renovation or addition and a sewer line or more so a sewer grinder pump has to be disconnected, removed, and then replaced. And that's attached. And again, the intent of the policy is to identify the necessary steps a licensed drain layer must take during the disconnection of a building from the municipal sewer line. Again, the licensed drain layer will have to apply for a disconnection permit and identify whether it's an addition or remodel. That way the office will know what's taking place. An appointment will need to be made for a member of the water sewer department to meet with the licensed drain layer on site. The existing sewer line will be inspected and documented with pictures. If the system is operated by a grinder pump, the water sewer department will activate the system and make sure it works correctly. The licensed drain layer and water sewer representative will sign the disconnection permit verifying correct operation. And again, at that point, we don't own it anymore. It would be my intent. No matter where they store it, no matter where they put it, no matter what happens to it, if it doesn't work when they go to reconnect it, it's on them, not on us. When the grinder pump system is reinstalled, the water sewer department will again activate and test the system to make sure it works correctly. The licensed drain layer will be required to provide this water sewer department with an updated tie card At that, when everything is installed correctly, the water sewer department will sign off on the tie card and assume responsibility for the operation of the grinder pump at that time.
Peter, what's a grinder pump cost?
Costs approximately $4,200 for a complete system. The pump itself is approximately $1,000. To replace a pump is probably $1,200 or so. Control panel is probably $1,400. So,
Peter, and the third one down, an appointment will need to be made for a member of the water sewer department to meet the license drain. I'd like to see you put in after the water sewer department or the sewer superintendent. In other words, this is if one or some of us aren't available, or choose not to go on the construction site.
I wouldn't think, no, the department is, the office is us, not you guys. You
Okay,
guys are
let's-
the commission.
You can go anytime you want, Rob.
No, I do.
No, the department is us. It would be the office staff
Okay.
or
All
Viola.
right, because it's just to be made for a member of the
Yeah,
water sewer
department,
department, not commission,
not commission.
not commissioner. Okay, my apologies.
We're really micromanaging.
That's- All right, so this is, we're gonna make this a permanent thing, Peter?
So you have a policy handbook, there's probably 10 or 12 policies in it. Yeah, I'd ask that you approve this as part of that policy handbook, and we'll include it. And then, if, again, as we start to implement it, if changes need to be made, we can put it in front of you to tweak it for what might work better and move
Okay.
forward that way.
I got a motion?
I'll make a motion, we add this to our policy handbook and guidelines.
Okay, second?
Second.
Jen? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous?
Peter, just a quick question. Who decides if it's an addition or a remodel? I mean, I know what the difference is, but
They're the,
is there a difference to us? whether
no,
it's
because,
classified
but on the
as?
building permit, it's different. That's why I put them both.
But to
'Cause
us,
some
it's not
peop-
different?
No, it's,
Okay.
as long as that sewer line is getting disturbed, that's why I put them both.
Exactly, and a lot of times it's, the pump location's gotta get relocated.
Correct.
Because the new bedroom is going right over to where the pump is, so that pump's gonna get moved. And we've had some issues in the past. But just think, and again, commissioners, our 20-year anniversary on these things is coming up real soon, and the terminology is called the setting sun. Is the sun gonna set on these pumps to where we're no longer responsible for them? Because we had to be responsible for them because of the financing. But once the financing is over, it's when the 20 years is up, then we have no more obligation to maintain these. That really, they're the property of the landowner. But on the other hand, is we want to make sure if someone has a problem, that it gets fixed in a proper time to where you're not creating a health problem. So. there
I'm
were
not
different-
sure if there was a malfunction on one of these sewer pumps, if the homeowner did not address it, and there was to be an overflow that went into the lake or something like that, if we could say it's not our problem. So I think when we look at possibly relenting ownership to the property owner, we also have to look at what responsibilities we may continue to have. I think there is an additional cost for us to maintain these. I think if you were to look at possibly adding a additional charge for customers with sewer pump station, with grinder pumps, for a quarterly basis, they pay an additional 15 or 20, or whatever figure you come up with, and we continue to maintain them in perpetuity. I think that could be a fair balance where we'll know that they're getting fixed correctly and timely and continue to do that. And the homeowner will just have to say, okay, we can continue to make one phone call and not have to find a plumber or someone else who wants to come and mess with something they don't necessarily know about.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's a reasonable approach to it.
We had discussed that, or this particular subject at length some years ago,
Sure.
And a former commissioner had come in and made a suggestion, identical to what you just said, Pete, is look, homeowners don't want to deal with this on their own, and also is they won't know who to call. And so, you know, a nominal monthly or quarterly fee, whether it be, you know, a yearly charge of $60 or $15 a month, so that puts me into, I'm buying insurance, so when it doesn't work, then I pick up the phone, it's still taken care of. So,
Warranty program, or however you want to
Right,
word it.
yeah.
I think
Well, you know, if they're 20 years old, and the problem that you're potentially having is when these go out of service, and they're out of service for 2 months or 3 months while the addition is going on, or the remodel, and you try and put them back in service, they're rusted shut, they're just done.
Or if the pump sat outside, sat in the basement of an unheated remodel and froze throughout the winter, and then they put it back in and it tries to work. So I think it's important. I think this policy will help identify what takes place, as long as, again, we identify when they come in to sign the building. So the tough thing is someone will come in for a remodel or just a deck permit. They're gonna add a deck on the front of their house, and we have to sign off on it. We have to make sure that they know that no exterior sewer infrastructure work can be done. But it's hard to, there's no line in the building permit to put that restriction. It's either you sign it or you don't. So you let the homeowner know that, but then the contractor might come and he might be doing some digging for post holes or whatever and have to relocate something, and he might not even be a licensed drain layer, just starts moving stuff around and reconfiguring stuff, and all of a sudden and so it's hard to kind of plan for everything that's gonna happen, but hopefully this is a good start, and we can, as we sign off on permits, let people know that absolutely no sewer infrastructure outside of your home can be moved, replaced, or altered.
Very good. Okay, number 6, old business, water line construction update.
So again, we're coming near the end of the construction season. These updates are probably gonna start slowing down quite a bit. But as of now, for Berry Corner Road, Ludlow continues to make the internal plumbing connections on Berry Corner Road and H Foot, connecting homes. They're averaging probably 3 a day on a good day, so they're making progress. They should have all the homes who are signed up to connect possibly by the end of November, beginning of December. Palmer Paving was up there today, milling and replacing certain areas of asphalt in the base that were not adequate and did not stay up to standards, so they replaced certain areas of that, and they're coming in to start the final paving tomorrow. So there'll be detours and road closures up Berry Corner Road tomorrow, and Wednesday. They're gonna try and pull one strip from Route 169 on Berry Corner Road all the way up to Ayers Road tomorrow, and then come back the other way on Wednesday. So if everything goes well, Berry Corner Road will be completely paved by Wednesday, and then they're gonna move over to, I believe, Eleanor for a day, and then over to H Foot for maybe Friday might not work, but Friday and Saturday. So towards the end of the week, it might change a little bit based on the weather, but they are gonna be up on that Berry Corner, H Foot Road for the next, say, 6 to 7 days.
Peter, is the water turned on?
Yes,
So the water's on, Berry Corner Road?
yes.
So there's people who are being connected, the water is a
Are
go?
on municipal
Okay,
water.
okay.
Yes.
And do they, what's this, and what is the schedule for testing the water quality by the water department?
So, as far as chlorine residuals? Or as?
Yeah, which would be, yeah, exactly.
I believe Southbridge is going up at the end of H Foot Road and taking samples.
Right, but do they have a schedule?
I don't
Do they
believe,
do it once a month, once a week?
I'm not sure what the schedule is.
Okay.
I know they've
All
been
right.
checking.
Okay, and again, it's relative to the time of the year.
Correct, they're fortunate, it's not August.
Right, right,
So-
okay.
School Loop, Albanese has finished installing the underground water line at the overlook, and they have moved that crew to begin installing water main at Bay Path for the booster pump station there. They also have a crew finishing installing service laterals on, I think Old Worcester Road may be done, and they're on Morton Station Road now. The culverts are in and installed, both culverts are completely completed, guardrails are in, the road is temporarily paved, so Old Worcester Road is now open.
And just a clarification, Peter, is the final coating of the asphalt for that area of the school loop is gonna come next summer?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So unfortunately, probably not in the spring, probably wait till school is out, so it'll be next summer after everything settles, goes through a freeze-thaw cycle and settles over the winter. They will pulverize and pave, so they'll have to, again, there'll be some traffic disruptions for those residents again, but they will completely pulverize the entire roadway, base it, and pave it next summer.
And just to jump back to Berry Corner Road, because that's getting totally paved this year, Palmer Paving has made a commitment for warrantying that road
For 5 years.
for 5 years. Very
They're
good.
supposed to get Jerry something in writing, yes,
Okay.
for warranty from cracks and potholes.
Didn't that already come in?
It may have. But I think there was some language issues they were trying to identify. So. Route 169 pump station, RH White had a training session for the generator and controls on Tuesday, October 29th. So that pretty much cleans up everything at the pump station. It's been operational, the generator is now completely operational. The only thing remaining, I believe, is Kleinfelder, McClure, and Whitewater are still in the process of reviewing the O&M manuals submitted by RH White. So I believe once the O&M manuals are finalized, the pump station project will be completed, and we'll be able to close that out, minus a few small punch list items that they have with RH White.
Peter, do you know what the budget number was on that pump station?
I do not.
Okay.
I can get that, though.
I'd be just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And last, Buffinville Public Water Supply. Again, we've talked about this a little bit, so I've submitted the public water supply application to the DEP for the purchase of the Phillips property. Because we're purchasing the property and propose to do a public water supply, we have to do an application process through them. They have provided me the language necessary for the public hearing that's required before we purchase the Phillips property. We're gonna post that and try and have that as part of your December 2nd regular meeting, and get that hearing done at that time. I've been working with Attorney Cosgrove. Part of the concern that the DEP raised, part of the application was a draft deed for the property, and then the draft deed, the owner of the property was going to be the town of Charlton, and DEP wants it to be owned by the Water Sewer Commission, or the Water Commission. So Attorney Cosgrove made those changes. So we're just kind of working through that process to make sure we have everything identified correctly. There's some other restrictions they want, that DEP wants on the deed, and they want the same restrictions to be mentioned on the plan itself. So we may have to have the engineer just draft up another plan to be recorded that has certain stipulated requirements from DEP mentioned on the plan as well as on the deed, so.
What radius will that, will the notice of the public hearing cover?
300 feet, the abutters list,
Yep,
300 feet.
300 feet. Okay, so we had some other residents who were very interested in.
We can make
knowing-
sure.
Just make sure that they were.
Yeah, if she's not within the 300 feet, we'll make sure that they're aware, definitely, thank you. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any members have any other business that was unknown at the time of posting? Okay, next meeting announcement is going to be November 18th, 2019. And I'm ready for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good.